huge. Is that right?
Yes, means their personal life.
Yeah, that's right.
Personal life, not personal earning.
Yeah.
They are not expected to earn
No.
separate, yes, but
they're allowed to.
They own their private program, meditation or washing or doing something
Yes.
for themselves, and some part of their activity and daily time has to be given to the general running of the institution,
Yes.
ashram, and they are expected to participate in it. And it is on a voluntary basis as far as it can be done. But as many people come, then a sort of a obligation has to be imposed on them, because people voluntarily, supposing one comes and after some days he slackens and doesn't do the amount of work or the work that is given to him, then work suffers, then the department suffers. On some plea or other, if he becomes slack, is irregular or idle or careless, then naturally, therefore now a greater obligation is put now upon people, that you must work 6 hours or 4 hours with somebody, with that absolutely newcomer. They are told plainly that if you can work, what work you like to do, you select. When you are given the work, then you will have to work under so and so for 5 or 6 or 4 hours, so that the work does not, you see, when you give up, it's like a circle that is going on, and if somebody doesn't attend, that part of the whole total organization suffers. So some kind of imposition has been now in action for some time, last 1 year or so.
They are asked to report to one of the group leaders. Is that it? The department head.
Department head,
and then he assigns them to.
Yes, work, and he sees to it that the work is done. If he is absent, it is the head who has to see whom to put substitute.
Is Rishabson still got the furniture shop?
No, practically none. I don't think he's attending much to it, except half an hour something.
He's doing mostly writing.
Yes, he doesn't do much work. There is somebody given to him and he is looking after the workshop. And
quite a number of them work on the farms, don't they?
yes, farms, 5, 6 persons. 5 or 6 persons work on the farm.
And there are a lot of laborers
also employed. They send out the machine from the ashram and it does the work and returns.
And quite a number of them live out there too.
Yes, live out. 6 of them, I think. 4 on the poultry farm and 4 on this side, rice farm, so about 8. Then in the garden also there are 4. Lime garden and the coconut garden.
And I think one of the things that would interest people is that how they, about the flowers and how they raise the flowers and so forth. Can you tell us a little about that?
Well, flowers were, first of all, mother gave importance to the flowers.
Yeah.
Before that, they didn't care much. There was no ashram. In fact, ashram owes its existence to mother, you see. If mother wasn't there, there wouldn't be ashram as you see it.
Yeah.
And flowers began to have a psychological significance in the ashram. And they were, in the beginning, used as language for mother or and Sharunda to convey what they wanted to convey. A group of flowers in a dish or in a vase was given, and it was to convey some message. Well, the man was expected to know it, to decode it, so to say, to himself. And there were many flowers before mother from some of the gardens, and to each one, when he came for blessings, he used to collect a number of them like that and give. Well, he had to find out what it meant, you see. So that was for 2-3 years, it went on, 2 to 3 years. I think 26, 27, about 28 also, I think, part of 28, till she gave meditation and blessing and so on. And then when the flowers got a psychological significance, then it became important for the disciples to cultivate the flowers also, because mother didn't allow any plant to be uprooted or any branch to be cut and any tree to be, even if the wall was to be, taken, she would not want to cut the tree as far as she could help, you see. So that was, even branches were not allowed to be cut, you see. So the people thought that this is an important thing, and when she gave importance to it, well, everybody also began to look after the flowers and look after the plants and gather everything and so on. It became, and for about 1 year and 2 years, I think, all the flowers that were offered were counted. You'll be surprised to know. This went on 2 years, I think. And people went on collecting flowers from all over Pondicherry. You see, this white flower, transformation flower as they call it. It is, what is it called? It is a bush plant, is it not? It is a light wood, very light wood, the white wood it is called. There is a name for it, a fine name I think. No, it's a big tree, but...
Oh, a tree.
Huh?
Oh, a tree.
Yes.
I thought it was a flower.
No, the flower, it has a very fine white flower and it spreads a fragrance about half a furlong. When it is in bloom, half a furlong will be...
Like jasmine.
Not jasmine. No,
Mimosa?
it is a rubber plant. No, not rubber plant. It is
Mimosa?
the light thing that float, the cork plant, cork tree.
What?
Cork tree. You know cork tree? Yes. Huge cork tree. It is called cork tree. Yes, now I remember. And that was transformation flower. And then roses, jasmines, all flowers. And every time a man brings a new flower, I myself must have brought about 25, 30 flowers, new, which were not brought by anybody. So you go out early morning and find out fine flowers somewhere, one or two you pick up and say, this mother, you have got it? No. So she will keep it for some time and then she will wait for the name of it, means the interpretation, significance to be given. And when the significance is given, then the flower will be codified, classified, so to say. About 600 she has given. 600, about. 600 flowers have been given their psychological significance in this way. And every day there was counting, by thousands of them. Small, big, all varieties, each one separately put and so on. And she thought, this is my interpretation, I don't know, firsthand I didn't hear from her, but I'm pretty sure that that is the understanding, that flowers are the psychic expression of the earth consciousness, you see.
Mm-hmm.
The earth consciousness, the psychic of the earth consciousness expresses itself in the flower form. And therefore, the coming of flower is, as it were, so to say, the coming of earth consciousness to the divine, you see. The earth consciousness goes to the divine. And so she prized it very much. I mean, as a symbolic act of the earth consciousness going to the divine, you see. Because that is what the earth yoga is meant for, to establish a contact with the higher consciousness, the earth consciousness. And they used to make a sentence, you see. And then the man was asked to see if he can make that sentence. So some of them, when they knew the interpretation significance, they would say, rose, jasmine, that white flower which is called, harsanga, parijat flower. Particular white variety is the red, red handle, white with a red, small. It's a small thing. And so on. Then when she gives that means, you see, if you have the aspiration, then you will get psychic purity and surrender. If you have got the psychic purity, or if you get a transformation flower and surrender, and if you surrender, you will get the transformation. See, like that. And then she used to give 8, 10, 5, 15 flowers. And you have to make your sentence if you know it. It went on for some months. Mm-hmm. Well, then the disciples got a little puzzled and it stopped. Mm-hmm. But that is how history. I had one peculiar incident. Mother used to go to disciples' room in the year 1924 and 5. You see? So she would decide a day that I will go to this fellow's room on such and such a day, like that. So one Wednesday was my day. She was to come to my room in the house where the children are playing upstairs. And as she was coming, we were concentrating that she will be coming and so on, so waiting for her and preparing everything and roses and flowers and all that, you see. There was one jasmine on a creeper, and it had opened in the evening. She was come at 4:30, and jasmine is an evening flower, you see, so it opens in the evening. It had opened and it was very fine, so I thought I would like to give it to mother. But then it was very far. And mother was to come, there was no time to make arrangement and take, and For that one flower, I didn't want also to wait, and then in the meantime, perhaps it might be all hurried. So I waited for some time, and in 7 minutes, I saw the flower fell down. So I came and picked it up. And when mother came, I gave that flower to her. And she told me, yes, probably it wanted to come to me. But this actually happened, right? At 25, long, long ago. I began the rose culture first in 23, 24. I had a friend of mine who was an eminent doctor, and I told him that I want some flowers to be cultivated here. So he sent me 50 rupees, and I got the first consignment from Bangalore. Bangalore is a place for flowers in India, in that part of the country. So I got fine varieties of roses from Bangalore. And that flower, one variety, the rose used to be this size. It used to be like a lotus, pretty lotus, pink. And mother used to put it in her, button. She used to put in the brooch. Afterwards, every day now, some fine roses are cultivated all over, wherever.
Well, as I remember, every house has a garden,
Yes, every house.
and then they contribute the flowers to the samadhi.
Yes, samadhi or to mother's offering in their mother's room decorations and so on. There are places that are to be decorated. Samadhi, there is a plot also outside as you go towards
Yes.
the sports ground. That side, there is one plot reserved. Because if nothing comes, that garden is reserved for samadhi. So some flowers will be always there.
And of course, there are a lot of flowers out there at the chicken farm too, aren't there?
Yes, every farm, even
Yeah.
the lake has got some farm. And now lake has dairy, fruit garden, and agriculture. Means this growing of some of the seeds, this groundnut seeds and so on, plantain, groundnut, and all oranges they have put now. They will take 1 year more to get some fruits out of it, I think. But groundnuts they are already getting, and there is dairy farm there. So there is.
Where are we gonna put these bees?
Yes, that's why I was asking that book.
Yeah, where are we gonna put them?
Heavy there on the lake garden one, and I think even this side also in the sports ground they can do.
They have them in 2 or 3 places.
Yes, lake is one, sports ground is another, big sports ground. There is all round there are wildflowers they can have. Lake will have certainly a success, sure and certain.
Well, that's something I think you sure ought to have.
Yes, they ought to have.
I'll get you them books.
Yes,
I'll get you some books.
that's why I said the first lessons.
Yeah, I'll get you
That's
that
all.
one and then.
Let them do it. Afterwards, we'll get the ABC XYZ. ABC XYZ, if you give, they'll put it in library. I don't want to give that.
Well, that big one, the big one would be good to have in the library.
Library, yes.
That's where it should
Yes,
be, in the
yes.
library. And then they could go to the library and see.
Hmm. But this book, I can give it to the gardeners, you see, 1 or 2 of them, and they can get a volunteer to try and see if they can succeed.
You gonna send them some bees, Nick?
No, I think it'd be best to buy them over there.
Oh, there are. The government is supplying now bees there.
You get them from the government or if there's nobody over there.
Well, they have a lot of sugar around, honey around there for sale. I guess that comes from the mountains, doesn't it?
Hmm. Himalayan,
Yes.
then this Mysore also.
I know that the,
Mysore,
honesty shop used to sell.
Hmm. Then the Karnataka also has got big forest. And
Well,
then-
there's no better food in the world. Boy, that'd really go good for those children over there. Use honey instead of sugar. It's a lot better.
Did you read about honey, Purani, where it says that it's pre-digested?
Yeah, pretty.
So it's almost immediate.
Yes. And it's a very good nervous tonic.
And in the Bible, one man said that he lived on milk and honey.
Mm.
And who wrote that sort of encyclopedia, the bees that you were looking at, he tried this under doctor's supervision one time and found that the only thing he needed to add was some citrus. He did it for several months, nothing but milk and honey. And the only thing he found that was lacking in that diet was a little citrus. So he declared. I think it's quite interesting, that it has Oh, that much nourishment in it.
Mm.
Cooking. Yeah, live on, don't do it.
Oh, boy, you can cook everything.
Honey?
Boy, honey and sauerkraut, did you ever try it?
Yes.
Out of this world.
You bring some honey, you got this sauerkraut.
Honey and beans?
Spiritual significance behind flowers.
Yes.
Did many of the people at the ashram, did they really get into this? Did they really go into state of realization, or did they get the message? Did they get the message?
Yes, some of them could read very well. It lasted about 1 year and a half or 1 year or more, little more. And some of them could read very well. From the significance of flowers, they could make out the sentence.
And did she get this from children?
Yes, they would refer to mother also, and she would confirm. Those sentences are collected somewhere in a small type form, I think, somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a book, Purani, giving the
Yes.
different flowers?
Flowers.
At the ashram?
Yes, the book is published, small book.
Mm-hmm.
And illustrations also are there, but they are not published because they are color.
Yeah.
One man, Amal and Krishnalal, I think, these two painters have painted the flowers with the significance in natural color, you see, so as to identify. But that book in color is not published, only the list is published. Significant flower and then significant, flower and significant. That's all you have got. But the color, notebook is there in which all the flowers which are given significance by the mother have been painted and their names and significance written out. Someday they will publish. And then because color production, requires good outlay. It would not be a marketable thing, perhaps. People would not find it easy to buy.
Ronnie, in the beginning, when there were just a few of you there with Sri Aurobindo, was he doing all the experimenting, or were you all a part of that experiment? And that he was experimenting in the spiritual path, and wasn't he more or less?
Not that was experimenting. You see, he had his conclusions, and he just wanted to test the conclusions not on men but also on on animals or inanimate objects and so on.
Oh,
that's all, more or less. For the disciples, there was a path that he knew, that was definite. There was no doubt about that in his mind. For an individual, he would be making an experiment to see how he reacts. That's all. Not about his path, but about the need of the disciple.
By what time had he fully developed the yoga of self-perfection?
By 1920 already, yes.
1920.
1920, 21, he was all right. It had already found expression also. By 20, it was in the Arya magazine. It was in the magazine form.
And that was aspiration, rejection, and surrender?
That came afterwards. No, that came later, after 26.
And what was the practice for that?
Yoga of self-perfection is referring to yoga of self-perfection.
Oh, yeah.
Yoga of self-perfection, the fourth part in the synthesis. Yoga of knowledge, yoga of action, yoga of devotion. That is his own classification and his own amplification of the past yogas. It is not the classical Jnana Yoga which you find in his. It is yoga of knowledge as seen by him in his integral yoga. Yoga of action, karma yoga, as seen by him in his integral yoga. Yoga of devotion as seen by him. But then afterwards he added a yoga of self-perfection from his own. That was his own contribution to yoga. It is not classical. There is no precedent.
This is his original.
Yes, his original contribution.
We didn't know that.
Yes. Yes. Yoga of self-perfection is his own yoga. In no other past book or past practice you find that. That is his own contribution to yoga as a one who has done the yoga and shown a new path. Then further up the yoga of supermind is still more. Absolutely his own. The last chapters you find. Supramental yoga, it might have been named that, it must be included there, I think. Yoga of the supermind, is it not? Beyond the yoga of self-perfection?
Well, that's the last one in the.
Last.
He discusses the super,
Yes.
in the last part of that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. That supramental yoga, you see, when faith and Shakti, from that chapter he begins the supramental yoga.
In the beginning days, in the ashram, when there were a relatively small number of sadhaks, there was apparently a practice that you had a question, and you would write this question up and submit the question, and the Shribindo or the mother or both would answer this question.
No, at that time mother had retired. Mother was not taking any part in it.
But he was.
He alone used to come out.
Now, most, as I understand it, a great amount of the material that's on Yoga 2, that's was as a result of Sir Shurabindo's answers to these questions.
No,
right?
no. You see, that came later after 1926, November 24th. After that he retired, and mother took up the charge of organizing the ashram and institution and guiding the disciples and giving them meditation at 4 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, then 6 o'clock in the evening and 12 o'clock of night. 4 times she used to meditate with her, you see, and so on. She had no time to answer people's questions. She was busy. Kitchen was there, houses were there, gardens were there, the milk was to be bought, money was to be obtained, and she had no time to answer. Therefore, Sri Aurobindo in his retirement volunteered and said that what some people want to ask something, so he said, let them write. So there was a post box, you see, and every sadhak had his envelope, and he had to put his envelope into the post office, and that was taken to Sri Aurobindo in the evening. He used to sit up in the evening from 8 to 2 or 3 in the morning and answer the questions.
And these are the
Every day, 80 to 110 letters average he answered for 8 years. If you want to believe, I am the witness.
I've heard this before.
No, for 8 years, every day, 80 to 100 to 110 letters sometimes. And so we used to sit up and go on writing, putting in that envelope. Next morning, the post will be delivered to that man. It is from that this is collected.
Well, now, today, there's a sadhak that has a question. How does he get an answer?
If he has an important question, first he reads these books. He is asked to read, because most of the questions are answered that man could put. And if there is any particular personal question, he asks mother, you see, through somebody, and if he meets a disciple and disciple can answer him satisfactorily, well, work is done. But if not, the best is he asks mother, in case he has to ask something. And mother, I
cases they write the mother, don't
yes,
they? Right
yes,
in the ashram.
yes. Now few, because most of them are answered, and they meet somebody. If department question is there, the department head will say. School is there, Pavitra will say. So much of them is eliminated. 4 or 5 will remain at the top. Then out of that, if it is important, they will write to mother, and mother will send orally some reply or written reply if necessary, or silent reply. 3 ways in which she gives reply. Usual work. Can't imagine anybody doing it.
Indication of the remarkable condition he was in when they were able to do that.
Oh, yes.
He was only sleeping 2 or 3 hours a day, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, then he used to sleep at 3 or 4 and get up at 8 or 8:30 in the morning.
3 or 4 hours.
6 hours, 4 hours, according to me. But he would finish the work and then give over the post.
What would he do? Write it out in that small
Yes,
writing?
handwriting, yes.
know whether it's for me to understand why he spent so much time in the tournament this great spiritual realization and manifestation into his body.
Yes.
You know, if you don't care to answer that,
Huh?
if you don't care to answer that, please don't, because it may be beyond my understanding.
No, but what was your question? Why he spent time?
He spent so many years in bringing down the spiritual manifestation into his body, into the very cells of his body.
Yes, because that way alone the process would be complete. The idea and the whole goal is that the highest consciousness, which is available just now to man, the next rung in the evolutionary ladder, the truth consciousness, first man has to ascend to it. But ascent is not for escape. The ascent must be a preliminary to its descent. Now, when descent of that higher consciousness and man comes back with that higher consciousness again to his natural or natural apparatus, then he brings it down level by level, first in the mind, then in the emotional being, then in the vital being, then in the nervous being, and ultimately into the physical being. If it is not established in the physical, then this earth in which we live is based on matter. Its basic, plane is matter. And if a new principle is brought from the higher consciousness, from higher realm, and if it is not established in the earth consciousness, then it has less chance of lasting. The rule of this earth evolution is that a new principle of consciousness or being or power, if it is to become permanent part of this earth consciousness, it must be brought to the material level. Take mind, for instance, intellectual consciousness. Now, if mind was the property of, say, 10 persons or 100 persons, 20 persons, and was not possessed by all other people, then mind would not have become a permanent faculty. But mind has got hold of the very material level brain, you see, so that it has got an organized place in the material consciousness here operating. Well, now you are no anxiety about the permanency of mind, because mind is now established in the earth evolution. It is there. Even a barbarian who has no development of mind, he takes an incredibly short time to come up to the latest intellectual development, because mind is there. You understand?
Yes.
In him the apparatus is ready. Well, if a supermind, means a truth consciousness, is now to become a permanent part of this evolutionary movement on earth, then the supramental consciousness must embody itself, must put itself into the material consciousness. Otherwise, it can come down, but it won't become permanent, will not become a part of this evolutionary movement. And if it is a part, then it will last. It will always go on working and converting that which comes in contact into its work field. The supermind then will go on working on mind, on other levels of consciousness, gradually converting more and more of our consciousness into itself.
Yeah.
Just as mind is now, widening its field of operation, and more people are becoming or trying to become intellectual, in the same way, if the supermind was put into the earth consciousness, into the material consciousness of the human system, well, then it will be going on working, whether man knows it or not, and it will produce results. You understand why he was particular? And so the process of transformation would be complete. Then the process of transformation would be complete. That is why he devoted long time to that process, you see. It is necessary.
Purani, in Purani yoga, he also believes in the different centers that are mentioned, I guess, in the tantric philosophy. That is the center at the base of the spine.
Yes.
And the throat center, the heart center. He believed in all those centers.
Yes.
But the approach was different. Is that it?
Yes, approach was in this way different. They begin at the bottom, most of them. Some of them begin, in the mind. But Sri Aurobindo consistently believes in two centers. One is the heart center, and another is above the head. So, if you have to awaken the Kundalini, if that is the process, then you must awaken it from above and not from below. That is one. And the easiest center, according to him, was the heart center for concentration and meditation. Because psychic being resides behind the activity of the extroverted emotional being, the feeling of man, the feeling center. It is behind. So, it is easy to contact the psychic being when one concentrates in the heart center. So, from the heart center, to awaken to the psychic being and aspire from there would be a very effective method of meditation. Centers are there. That is a well-known result of experience of many people for hundreds of years. They're at the bottom of the spine, the Muladhara, the navel center is the vital center, the heart center, the throat center, base center, and the head. These are well-known centers. In any book you will find that these are the centers through which the consciousness moves up when it is awakened from below and moves down when it is brought down from above.
Talks about the mental center, doesn't he also talk about the center up there too?
Yes, center. This is a center of vision and will.
Yes.
Will also. Will.
That's the two lotus stones.
Mm-hmm.
Two petals.
Yes. The third vision, eye of the third eye, as you call it, you see. I got one from Disneyland. What's new thing about third eye? And then there's a third eye. You stick it here with rubber and you get a third eye.
You send it back to Ashram?
I take it. I just bought it for fun.
Well, I said I shouldn't think like that. I should go to Buckingham Palace and have old, beautiful old Queen Mary give me some her queenly protocol. She was always, even the artists who painted her, she checked them on their grammar and everybody educated everybody.
Fasting wasn't a good idea. The practice of sadhana. Does he also think that fasting isn't good as a very method of improving health by increasing elimination for a short period of time in a toxic body? It's a truly physical measure for health, not as a practice to increase elimination.
Yes, that is to say, if you fast for health, it is all right, but not for spiritual results. That's all.
Did Sri Aurobindo say much about just health measures such as that? Did he write anything on that?
Yes, but he depended upon the, psychological approach more than anything outward. So fasting would come only in a very last line, you see.
Yeah.
He would approach from psychological point of view. That is, if health is set right, first your consciousness is to set right. First. Somewhere there is something, and then you have to set that right. Mind is perhaps accepting the suggestion of the disease, so that must be clear. No, mind must not accept disease. The vital would generally also accept the suggestion of disease. The vital must throw it out also. Then what remains afterwards of the physical trouble, you have to see what are the simplest remedies you can apply to that to get out of it. But the most important part is to free the mind and the vital being. Because it is there that the real catch comes, you see. The real difficulty of man's physical health comes when his vital being and mental being accept the suggestion which is certainly there in the physical body. He is not imagining something. But that mind should also cooperate and say, I am not well. Well, that is itself not correct. He must say, I am well, my body is not well. You understand the distinction? Yes, that's it. So you see, my body is not well and I have to set my body right. I am all right. Then you can feel, if you're sensitive enough, the coming of the trouble of disease just trying to enter. You can keep it off. 7 times, 6 times, 8 times out of 10, not every time, because it requires a complete freedom from the subconscious movement also, or some mistake in the outer life, you see. If you do some excess, or exposure, or overeating, or irregularity of life and so on, well, naturally you give an opening to the thing to come in. And then even then the subconscious and the heredity is there. There are hereditary movements which also can come in the very physical body. So there is always it's a most difficult, you see, for him it took years and years and years. It is a long process. Physical conversion is a very long process because it is very dull, inconscient. It's the realm of the unconscious, you see. And body has its own consciousness, but it is not like, consciousness which can give you intellectually the cooperation. It can make you feel that it doesn't want something. Body has its consciousness. Many people override the body consciousness and get ill. Body doesn't want something, they go on stuffing. They think that I like it, so he goes on eating. Or they say, doctor has said something like that, that this food is good and vitamin B, all right, good vitamin. Body doesn't want to throws vitamin B inside. You see, mind sometimes, comes in the way of body's maintenance of health. So also vital suggestion. So likes and dislike, taste. Certain thing one likes and goes on taking. That also body if you leave alone probably will do just what it.
Yeah.
It's a very faithful servant, I can tell you. It's a very faithful servant. You must look after him and don't press him too much. And he will look after you very well. But you must not allow vital and mind to go and dominate and to dictate and to spoil his own natural functioning and instinct, you see. It would instinctively take certain things if allowed. That training is difficult now because we have so much lived in the physical mind and vital being that to go back to that like an animal is very difficult. But you see the
You
cats.
can feel it sometimes. So when you're overtired, you don't feel like eating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You see the cats and dogs, they go and eat grass when they are not well. This nature provides them, they pick the field. That's not their food, but they eat grass because they want to vomit out. You see, they take grass and then throw it up.
We think here in the United States, we have to be very careful because the food is depleted or supplemented with chemicals which harm food.
Yes.
It might not be in India this way.
Not yet. I don't think yet.
No, I don't think.
No, not yet, because the preservation is only recently taken up now, some 2, 3 years, 4 years back.
Well, it's not just preservation, it's sometimes the treatment of.
No, that is not yet taken so much. It's only bone ash which they put into the ground. You see, bone ash. Bone ash, not yet chemicals. Our ammonium has been produced, but I don't think the agriculturists have taken to it very much because they find that it impoverishes the soil in the long run. You see, it gives you bumper crop in the beginning, 4, 5 years. After that, the whole soil is so impoverished that unless you give, it won't give you anything. This chemical fertilizers, one difficulty is there, great difficulty.
Trying to go back to this business of health, my impression that just before Sri Aurobindo had his first opening, he was practicing rather strenuously asanas and pranayams, and that he continued this for a short time, but then he abandoned it altogether. Is this right?
Yeah, he continued asana and pranayam only up to 1905 and 6.
Yeah. Well, now,
Very beginning. After that, he had no time to practice asana except in the morning when he used to meditate 1 hour, he used to sit down on the ground in the ordinary, not even Padmasana, but ordinary asana as we sit cross, not cross exactly, but as we Indians sit, you see, and meditate on the ground 1 hour. That he continued for many years, 4, 5 years perhaps.
and in other words, he depended on his maintaining his health through spiritual infusion. Is that right?
Yes, spiritual.
That's all it was.
Consciousness, yes. And the only exercise he took was walking. And walking, you must know, is a record walking.
You walked a lot, you think?
16 hours a day sometimes. Won't believe. 12 hours.
You right in his room?
Right in his room. We crossed the globe many times. He has covered the globe.
As he was
12 hours, 8 hours, I have counted days and days I have seen.
Everybody
6 hours, 8 hours every day walking. The ground was dug up. It was chunam, ordinary, calcium. And where he walked, there was 4-inch depression. Because that Bengal shoes, Bengal sleepers, he used to use that Bengal sleeper and walk. So they were rough and they dig up the ground. I repaired it when I went in 1924. You see, there is about 1.5 feet, this walking passage. From here right up to that place was all irregular.
Well, when people went in to see him and
the-
talk to him, did they walk with him?
No,
I say, when people went in to talk to him, they walk with him or did they stop them?
no, he used to come out and walk, but when he used to go back, he used to meditate walking. It was his habit.
Oh, meditate walk.
Oh yes, all the time.
Oh.
Oh, there is walking and meditating. Always walking and meditating. And also sitting, but walking. That was his exercise. Even till 1935, 36, 5 to 6 hours I have seen him walk. Upstairs in this new house, in the passage. His room, passage and the mother's room, you see, where you would go for darshan. But the middle room, he used to walk there 6 hours. It is after the accident that it became nil practically. 1 hour, half an hour. It was nothing much to what he used to do. After the accident, after 38, he didn't walk as much.
What happened? He actually slipped, didn't
Yes, on the tiger skin.
he?
His foot slipped and the fracture of the femur took place, you see, right leg.
Is it true in certain movement, like walking, to establish a rhythm with
Yes,
birth?
yes, rhythm, inner rhythm. Sure.
Inner rhythm.
Inner rhythm. You can establish an inner rhythm and keep walking. So the meditation not at all disturbed, but becomes increased and better.
Yeah, no interesting.
So I think that's very valuable. Now you have to bear out the truth that we can meditate while we're working.
Of course you can.
Purani, would you need to start though sitting? Would you need to start being still by sitting in meditation, or would you just start out walking, or is that only for people who have the consciousness?
No, it's a question of practicing, accustoming yourself to meditate, walking.
Uh-huh.
If you practice, it will come. It's a question of practice. But if you keep your...
It might be even easier.
Yes, it depends. It's not difficult.
Well, it's usually easier though to quiet yourself, bring the peace and calm when you're sitting.
Well, that's because you are accustomed to it. Otherwise, even while walking...
I mean, that's why you sit. I mean,
Yes.
that's because it's easier. That's
Because we associate
Yes.
calmness with sitting
Yes.
still, you know?
Yeah, you can be in perfect peace while walking. There's nothing to prevent you
because
from...
the mother always meditates sitting down, doesn't
Yes.
she? Well,
But
or
she
standing up, she
also stands and walks.
yes, of course.
In her room, she walks
Mhm.
every day, morning and evening. Even in illness. As soon as she's a little better, she walks. As soon as she's better, she takes a walk, 15 or 20 minutes, takes a walk.
I didn't want to bring this up until we were ready for it, but I think it's a good thing. I
Yes,
spent a little
why not?
while this afternoon trying to formulate something, question. Yeah, you're inside. So I wrote down just a little bit here. This is very well written because I didn't have too much, I didn't give it too much time. But I wanted to go, your thoughts on concentration in meditation, and this intense stillness where all thought ceases. And so if you don't mind me, these few words I wrote down, and then you can talk about them. You mind?
You want to know
Read
about...
these few words I wrote down.
Huh.
Stillness,
Huh.
and almost centered to the point in one, that immersion of quiet, in which we become not nebulous of consciousness, but increasingly aware of a center of consciousness as an anchor in being. And the question is, from there, does one become increasingly aware of the true identity of being, outside of thought, but not mindful of it, a depth within itself, which will lead to illumination of the being in greater intensity as life dissolves in the depth dissolve in the depth. You see, is this also a state of surrender. Is this state of surrender made almost involuntarily or unconscious as one proceeds? Well, maybe that's a more tough question. Is that a point really?
Yes, no, this is right. That when you get into the inner consciousness, your consciousness become more self-aware. That is, you get into a consciousness in which you do not lose consciousness. You can lose consciousness of the mind, you can lose consciousness of the body, but you do not lose consciousness of yourself or true being. Consciousness of consciousness is there. That is, true being is there. And the characteristic of it is that a widening of consciousness. The more you are concentrated in it, you do not tend to narrow yourself down, but you tend to widen yourself. Widen in the sense of an extension of your own self outside your being, personality, outside your mind, outside your vital, outside your physical, outside your intellectual being. You feel that you are not confined to this apparatus which you are using, the mind or life or body, but that you are much wider than that, and this particular you are using for some particular purpose. The particular mind, particular life, and particular body is meant for some special purpose, but you are not that only. Widen in the sense of an extension of your own self outside your being, personality, outside your mind, outside your vital, outside your physical, outside your intellectual being. You feel that you are not confined to this apparatus which you are using, the mind or life or body, but that you are much wider than that, and this particular you are using for some particular purpose. The particular mind, particular life, and particular body is meant for some special purpose, but you are not that only. That would be the character of that experience. I'm roughly describing it, you see.
Also, I know this, but I don't want to be at all personal. You come into that state of absolute quietness where you cease to pray, and something speaks within you.
Yeah, that is your true being. Most probably, if it is not your mind. If it is not your mind, if you are sure, then it is your true being that speaks.
It says very little, but
Yes.
what it says is very beautiful. And,
Yes.
And it was sympathy, so it wasn't anything of any weight. Intensity, but without any weight. It's a sense almost of freedom.
Yes, that is the psychic being very often. And if you listen to what it says, allow your mind or vital, wherever you hear it, if you listen to it, you will see that it will give some understanding of yourself, understanding of nature, or some truth, or some removal of obstacle, or solution of a problem, or solution of your question, or how to proceed further towards the light. It will always give guidance. It will always give guidance for that.
Well, that's rather hopeful because I had an interpretation with angels.
No, it's not a question of angel. It's your true being is a name more than an angel. You see, the true being is the divine.
Right.
Angel is only the one who carries the message of the divine, but the divine is there in you. So don't. You have a far greater entity in you, the divinity, and it's a representative that speaks. Like a one who represents the highest authority, you see. Only speak gently because that is the nature of the psychic being. It is full of, faith in the divine. It has a goodwill for all. It is capable of surrender, capable of infinite love, capable of consecration in the true sense of the term. And it's also full of fire when necessary. It can support you also. It is not weak. When you have taken a resolution to stand on its side, it can support you in maintaining your resolution in life. It's a great power in the sense of being a fire, you see.
Purani, in the early stages of surrender, I don't know where I read it, but it cautioned against, well, I remember what they called pressing or trying to pull of the vine to you.
Yes, yes, that is generally
What-
done by the white.
How can you distinguish that, say, from deep concentration?
This is well known if it is accompanied by a great strain,
Is it?
nervous and vital. It is generally the vital that can pull. The other parts don't pull. Mind generally doesn't pull. It's the vital that has the power to pull. Others have not even the power to pull.
This indicated by pain, sort of like this.
Well, nervous exhaustion sometimes, fatigue after meditation, or
Fatigue after
meditation.
nervousness.
Yes, a reaction after meditation sometimes. You get a sense of tired. Otherwise, meditation refreshes you always. You never get tired in meditation. You always get better. Far better. Always, meditation is the best tonic you can ever have. Best tonic. There is nothing like meditation to put you into your best. If you do it with the right attitude, I mean, not that compulsory and so on, but when you do it with the right attitude, it is the best thing that one can have. But some people, all natures cannot pull also, you see. It is only ambitious natures when they pull with their weakness that they invite trouble, you see. Because if you pull, it may come. Because that part that pulls, well, has some kind of readiness or some kind of aspiration strong. And if that is answered and other parts are not ready, then the want of balance is prepared like this dawn, you see. He is not pulling anything much, but he has a simultaneous sphere of this vital being that he has contacted. And then when he begins sadhana, that being gives him the idea of, ambition. That if you do, you will become great. You will get great power. Some wrong conception like that. And he accepts this idea from this being. So with this idea, it comes and catches hold of him. And he has not that mind which can discriminate that I shouldn't do this. If he throws it out, it will go away. But he rather listens to it.
Are you saying that, Purani, that the safest way is really not what you call pull?
Yes.
Not to pull, but
Yes. But to open yourself passively.
yes.
And keep your mind peaceful and open.
Oh.
Or heart or psychic being, whatever part you open, even vital being. Open and keep silent and passive. Allow the higher power to work with an aspiration that it should come and work.
Yes.
It should not be a pull like that, you see.
No.
Many people cannot pull. Very few people have got the power to stand the strain of pulling. It's not easy.
No.
Pulling is not for everyone. It's a 5 in 100 or 2 in 100 can do it with impunity.
That reminds me of Luther. He was all up in his castle, you see, he kept from his enemies. He was translating the Bible from Latin into German and the common tongue
Yes.
of the people, idioms of the people. And he was very depressed and discouraged, and he saw a vision of the devil, and he cried for spiritual help, and he threw the ink bottle at him. It's a little story, but I mean, it might have some bearing on this, because he just had to have that power, and
Yes.
he did this physical effort of throwing the ink on the wall. And so the ink's supposed to be still there, but I don't know whether it is or not.
Yeah. No, these people who have got some spiritual opening have got this inner contact with the planes of consciousness behind. Some of them at any rate have. It's quite likely.
And he was a very vital being.
Yes, must have been a very strong man to stand against the Pope. No joke in those days. There is a joke about it also. You know that Pope, put him out of the Christian fold, It's called the fulminating bull. It is called the fulminating bull. A paper is signed and excommunicating him from the community of Christians, and it is called fulminating bull. Now this fulminating bull word came, and it was being translated in India by a Mohammedan in the Hyderabad, means Osmania University. So he thought, what is this fulminating bull? Bull is ordinary bull, and fulminating bull must be a bull that is angry, you see. So he wrote, angry bull. And somebody came and went, oh, looking, what is this? Why he is such a joke about it, the fascinating bull. And the professor, he was a learned man, but you see, not knowing European, the conditions of European history, he couldn't simply word for word, he took fulminating bull. But Luther had the courage to, put it in the city. Yes, she hanged it on the entrance of the city, didn't care for it, you see. So that requires tremendous courage in those days, you see. That's a very vital, strong man. Very strong man.
Her ecstasy and meditation.
Yes.
Something almost difficult for the body to stand. Is that something good or bad? Or?
Yes, very good. If you get a descent of ecstasy, you mean? Yes, it is a good sign of the delight coming down. It's good. Only you must hold it normally and allow it to come down gradually. Slowly allow it to percolate down, right up to the nervous and physical system. It would also be a very great tonic effect, powerful, to set everything right. Delight is the root of everything.
I remember one morning after the balcony, there was a young girl that just stayed there for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yes, there are some who did.
Just sort of in a trance.
Yes.
And she had the most beautiful smile on her face. You could see that she was.
Yes. There are 4 or 5 who used to stand up after mothers going 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I remember. Some foreigners and Indians, you see, and they used to stand there and see that American girl, I think, that, what is her name?
You don't mean Liliana.
Ruth, no. Rijuta. Her name is Rijuta. Indian name she has been given. And she used to stand like that for some time, 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
I remember Jay Smith day.
Yeah, Jay Smith also.
Downtown.
Michael's wife. His husband is Michael, who is working for. Yes, that's it. Michael's wife. Oh, she is just entranced with mother.
She's almost a recluse anyway, and she was.
Yes, at the house opposite the Golconda.
Yeah.
I think it is working with this electrical
Carrier.
Yeah.
He's a great friend of Udar's.
But my mind just subject to God. Sometimes it takes me a long time to get settled, and just to be time so still. And maybe you can't apply any pressure to it. You just have to stay there and quiet action, you see. And it's like surface of water. You can't, it's agitated. You know it's agitated, but you're just trying to be still. And after 20 minutes of work or waiting, then often I do get centered in that stillness, and I just begin to get nicely centered there, and I feel, well, really, at last, I'm getting a little peace, and not that I'm thinking of that, that isn't quite correct thing to say, but I really
get into it. Yes.
And then the bell rings, and it's like a sword, and I think, oh, if I could just stay now, I up to a point, just here.
Well, the best would be, when you see the disturbance, you separate yourself and stand on the edge of disturbance, stand away from it, and concentrate there only. Let disturbance go on. You don't identify yourself and say, oh, there is disturbance, oh, there is this. No. You simply say, all right, let it be. I am here and I am not going to be disturbed. Then you will have full half an hour's meditation. Yes, lot of trouble. That's shorter cut.
And you can also invoke peace, can't you?
Yes, you can invoke peace, but apart from it, you stand apart and you will be in peace.
Oh, I invoke lots of things. Tired the Lord out.
No, best is to separate yourself. Shortcut. Sri Aurobindo has repeated about dozen times in his letters that separate yourself as the witness and become the witness of your nature, and don't give importance to whatever is flowing in consciousness. Put it aside.
Honey, that witness consciousness is good for all the time, isn't it?
It is there even
I
now.
mean, it's good not just in meditation.
No, it is present. You get into it. It is there all the time. It is cosmic. It is not even your witness. It's a witness of the whole universe that you are contacting on your point. He is a cosmic witness. The whole universe derives its power from him.
Mm. So one can practice that attitude, do you mean that all the time?
Yes, of course.
Mm.
Certainly.
But if you've been used to remaining in the outer consciousness, it's quite difficult to acquire.
Yes,
that
to get that. So what generally you do is to have a dichotomy. You see a division in consciousness. Generally, when you are in the world, the easiest and shortcut is to encourage or to cultivate a dichotomy, a division in the consciousness. One which deals with outside and knows this is right, this is wrong, this is the custom, this is people expect, this is society, so I do this. Inside, quite independent, absolutely nothing. It is not touched at all. The inside is going on doing quite its own work. Its own work, it is concentrating, it is surrendering, it is watching itself and saying this is wrong, this is right, this is right, and yet it is behaving quite all right with outside, dealings. That saves a lot of trouble, you see.
Is there any
It's a
direction?
dichotomy. You have to practice it, it so comes.
So is this also what they call the witness Purusha?
It is a little different from there. It is in the cutting of the nature into two, extroverted and inner consciousness. The inner is independent of what is outside nature is doing. Purusha consciousness would be, or witness consciousness would be of both inner and outer.
Oh, both inner and outer.
There is no division of there in the Purusha consciousness because there is only Purusha and Prakriti. That's the whole of Prakriti. While here extroverted and introverted
This is between Prakriti.
Yes. Extrovert and inward, yes.
This dichotomy is all right?
Huh?
This dichotomy is all right?
Yes, quite good for people who live in the outside world and have to deal with the other people and society and so on. It's good. Because you don't become anything, it doesn't touch you at all. You go on doing your own work, you concentrate, you surrender, or you aspire, or you control yourself, or whatever you are doing, you are going on doing, and externally whatever presents itself, you do and get rid of it, so to say. Well, it's all right. And if it impedes on inner, you immediately surrender, or you take the right attitude and get along. So that the outer attitude is not influencing the inner. And the inner is not, disturbed by whatever impact the outer is going through.
Is that detachment too, then, Purani?
It is
another word for it, detachment?
It is really speaking, dividing your consciousness into two parts. One dealing with the outside world and another busy within its own self. Dividing your own self into two parts. One part turned outward and doing what is necessary, and another turned inward, continuing its own work.
It's particularly useful when you're
Yes, when you are
in a
outside.
situation of a lot of external stress.
Yes.
To prevent yourself to get really involved
Yes.
with a lot of tension.
Yes.
People are excited and all this stuff. Keeping cool.
Yes. Inside you, nothing
Air
happens.
conditioning. That's
Yes.
what I like to have, air conditioning very
Yes.
much.
Keeping your head in the clouds and your feet on the earth? Is that?
That seems to me, if you could reach that point in the consciousness, that it would be not only a very great safeguard, but it would be a marvelous realization.
Yes,
You would be
yes.
calm within yourself.
Yes, of course. It's a practice. It requires some adjustment. You see, you have to 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it will come like that. It takes time. It takes time. No, you take mother's help and it will be very easy. You see, you decide to do sincerely, as you would. In that case, and take mother's help. It will become easy, because help will be there. Help will be there. Then
Yeah, I know the help is there.
Yeah.
That's true. The
Yeah.
help is there.
So you can then do more what you require for us 10 years, you might do in 5 months, 2 months, 10 months, like that.
Just ask for it.
Huh?
It's not her fault.
Just ask for it. No, but you have to ask for it.
Yes, but I mean, it's your fault if you don't receive it. It's not.
Well, you'll receive it if you ask for it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, that's,
Yeah.
But a lot of people won't ask for it, they just sit there, you know?
I think you do that.
Yeah, then you get it. Then you get it to the measure of your necessity and sincerity. Without faith. Without faith.
Well, I do. I mean, I do
Yes.
know that's true
Yes.
because I firmly do it. You see, when I begin to get frustrated, worried, I say,
It is very, very effective. It's only something to be tried. You see, it's not a question of merely changing anything. It's a question only of trial. And by experiment, one finds out that it's true.
Harry, what suggestions do you have about regulating the time of meditation?
Well, really speaking, meditation should be for all the time if one can do it.
Yes.
Meditation should have no separate time. It's a necessity of inner life and it is always there. So one has to meditate all the time if he can. Why not?
Except that, I mean, actually what happens is that when we meditate, we do become oblivious of the outer life.
Yeah, and concentrate completely in the inner.
Yes.
That's all.
Even at the early stages.
Otherwise what you do is to include the outer life also into your meditation, so to say.
And then it begins to make
Outer life must become a part of your meditation. That is, the attitude must be there, the consciousness must be there, self-awareness must be there, and what one is doing, why one is doing that, and what is happening, what kind of forces are there. Well, the consciousness can be maintained in contact with the higher or the deeper consciousness. Really speaking, meditation should become, as long as one can, put up with it first in the beginning, and ultimately the aim must be to meditate all the time.
Well, you take a person, though, that is used to living in the outer consciousness. Say a person uses his mind a lot in the outer consciousness. Now, as long as he is doing his regular work, he's busy thinking about these particular aspects. And he more or less thinks along the channels which are presented to him. Now, that same man, when he stops thinking, is more or less apt to be a prey to the universal. Then thoughts rise up from the subconscious, inconscious. And actually, sometimes when you start out, you get less peace than if you're thinking about a problem.
Yes, but that is not a, you see, that is not a correct appraisement of the situation. The idea is that when one is not busy in the mind, it should spontaneously go into meditation and attend to insight. And if the insight shows some subconscious movements, the best is you must attend to it and resolve it, so to say. The occupying oneself with the outside is not a remedy.
I noticed at the early stages, I can do it better now. The early stages, I used to have that problem all the time. As soon as I'd be quiet, then I'd be trying to get around these things. Now it's getting easier not to. Also, I usually find it's easier for me to meditate by myself than with people. Is that unusual?
Well, yes, some people get their own, vibration more congenial to their work, and not a collective vibration. A collective is good for some type of people. It helps everyone who is there, but for people who can stand on their own, it may not be necessarily, imperative. But for some people who require help, it is a good thing, because collective vibration is stronger than individual's vibration. The vibration and the will and aspiration that operates when 5 or 10 or 15 people concentrate is stronger, and therefore one who is not very strong gets some greater help and strength to get on with the meditation. And we had put this question to Sri Aurobindo once long ago, and he used to say that yes, it is good for ordinary people and people who are not in the beginning capable of standing on their own. But for strong people, it's not necessarily an advantage because they get not much out of the collective, vibration.
Well, it seems to me that I recall, and particularly your talks and all, of the mother saying that she's going to retire to meditate, and she goes and meditates, then comes back and joins the group. Isn't that right? She used to do that rather than meditate right in the group. In your evening talks there several times, that was described.
No, that was different context. Thing was that we were with Sri Aurobindo. And other disciples, hundreds, were outside.
Oh,
that time was fixed, and mother had to be in time for that meditation.
Oh, I see.
You understand?
Oh, that's like the balcony.
Yeah, the balcony, exactly.
I get it.
She comes to Sri Aurobindo before going there, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, she stands there, does something and so on. Then she goes for those fellows, they are waiting all the time there. So she has to just help them out.
I didn't get that from the...
No, she wants to be always helping people, I tell you. In fact, that is one of our complaints against her. You can't pull her back. She wants to help. So when she's not physically quite strong, we don't like that she should want to help. But that's very difficult to prevent.
I noticed that while there were quite a number of people at the Mother's balcony, there were many members of the ashram that were not there. Do some of them make a practice of meditating alone during that time? Is that it or not? I mean, not everybody at the ashram used to go to the morning balcony.
Yes, but 80–90% are there. About 80%.
Where that number?
80%, yes.
I didn't think there were that number sometimes.
80%. Others may have some work, kitchen people or dining room people or some people. They may have their own duty at that time. But those who can come, 80%, 85% always manage to come. Some people don't care because they will either meditate in the house or room or sit down in the room, or they have that different time. But many who could come do come. Many outsiders also come at that time. City people, outside people, visitors, by the dozens. And mother doesn't want like compulsory also. That she wouldn't like.
That's a wonderful thing, I think, that freedom.
Yes, if you don't attend, don't attend. It's your loss.
And Shivani, he thinks it's a nice thing, and because if you are so advanced that you can meditate everywhere
Yes.
and feel the presence of God anywhere, in
Yeah.
anything.
First, primarily within yourself.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. That's where you begin. Otherwise,
I find that it's a good help to consecrate one thing to heaven. One thing. I've done that for years. And one little object that I love, and I kept mine with mine invisible to anybody else, but it would be there. And I would take a little flower or rose or something and a flower behind it. Nobody knew it was my shrine, and I knew it's right. And I found that a help because around it is concentrated.
yes, that's what the tantrics do also in another way. You see, in India, there are many people who do like that. The tantrics have got a, geometrical figure sometimes. Sometimes it is a metallic, two triangles crossing each other. Or it is a metal sheet with drawings, means geometrical drawings in it with numbers. And their practice is to put their whole concentration upon this yantra. They call it, this is called the yantra. You see, yantra means a machine, really speaking. Exact translation of yantra is a machine. So they put their whole concentration there. And they charge this object with their concentration so much that the object becomes, so to say, a receptacle of their consciousness. So whenever they come, they find it living. When they come back, they find it living. And a stage comes when this thing is taken and put from one place to another, the whole consciousness also is there. Well, this is one of the ideas behind idol worship. The idols are kept only for show. The idols are given the human icon, it is only for the popular purpose. Behind the idol or below the idol, there is always this brass or copper, yantra, which is perhaps used by somebody who did the concentration upon this divinity or divine aspect of God and put his whole concentration upon it. And it is that power which really, works through the deity that is presented in stone or as an icon and so on. I have seen about 90% of temples in India have got this yantra, as you call it. This is somebody doing the concentration and on an aspect of God and so concentrating that it becomes really a receptacle of that subtle consciousness. So it becomes a carrier, so to say, this yantra. And this yantra can react because it is charged with that power of consciousness. So it is quite possible for one to use an object, photograph or light or a design or any physical object and make it a receptacle of his inner consciousness. In Sri Aurobindo's yoga, he doesn't want to encourage it because it first of all requires an outer object for your concentration. And he would say that best thing that you should have something within your own self, and it must be there all the time within you as far as possible.
Yeah.
I myself done this work partly, and it is very good. I mean, for people who want, it's quite good because it creates that atmosphere around that shape or object or geometrical design or whatever you like. You can put anything; it doesn't matter. They put coconut sometimes in India. Okay, they take a pot, and on the pot they put a coconut. Well, that becomes the object of content. They take a supari, means what you call this. Betel nut, betel nut, betel nut. They have betel nut. Yes, betel nut they put, concentrate. Or they take rice and make a design of rice if nothing else is available. But they keep it constant. They do not change afterwards. It is once it is put, and no change afterwards as far as you can help it. And they repeat a mantra sometimes. What they do is that a formula is given for this design. So they go on repeating the formula and then they say that a goddess is connected with this, Kali or Durga or anybody. So they will invoke the Durga and ask Durga to be there. Here in this asana. This is the receptacle. And so they know that Durga is there. So in the whole family, everybody will say, oh, well, I'll come. I will ask Durga. So they will go to the place, ask and get guidance and come back. They may not be all the time right. I don't say that they get really everywhere. But the tradition is there. I'm pointing out to the tradition. The tradition is still there in many houses. You'll say, I will go and ask Durga and come. Somebody will say, I will ask my king and come. See if there's the image of Krishna in the house, a small image like that. So he is serving him like a king or emperor. So he will say, well, I will ask the king and come. They will go inside, wait for some time and say, I want to do this. And what reply he gets? He will accept and come. Many families. Tantric and Vaishnava religion, they have got great number of people doing this kind of thing. Great means not majority, but quite a good number. Orthodox. Now modern generation may not do it. But past generation, there are still people who act upon it.
Did Aurobindo think that it was helpful to use the mantra sometimes?
If you have faith in it and if you can keep up your consciousness with it, so to say, means be conscious of the meaning.
I wondered, when you were discussing today, or sometimes discussing with today, he spoke of the vibration.
Yes,
that goes,
yes.
is awakening, that does
Yes,
awaken.
yes.
It
can awaken even without your knowing, but if you know, it would work more effectively.
Yeah.
It has a power to work without your knowledge.
Yeah.
It has inherent power.
It sort of sounds very reasonable.
Yes.
Is Tatvamrasi, is that a mantra?
Yes, people have made it into mantra. I don't know whether the original Upanishad here intended it to be mantra, but its meaning is that thou art that.
Yeah.
You see, thou art that. That means the divine. So, constantly, so if you want to repeat it, you can repeat Tattvamasi. But if you know that thou art that, then that meaning itself is enough. You need not have any. Yes, no sound is necessary when the meaning is clear to you, significance is there, so you concentrate on the significance, that's all.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't repeat the mantra with the mouth.
Just silently.
Yes, mantra is repeated inside, and afterwards somebody repeats the mantra to you all the time.
Oh,
Keeps on
So
going.
keep on.
Yes, it keeps on going.
There's a little book that was put out
Yeah.
called Japa
Yes, yes.
a couple of years ago, and then about 2 years ago in the bulletin,
Hmm.
the mother suggested a series of mantras to help you in opening.
Hmm.
Remember that?
No, I don't remember.
Well, it was in the bulletin,
Hmm.
2 or 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And these were in English, and to concentrate on the heart center, and one of them was "As Thou Willest."
Hmm. Hmm. No, she gave the mantra to some people personally. Personally means for themselves. But I didn't know that she had written.
Well, this was in the.
I may be
well,
outside. I might have
Now, there
gone.
were three of them that she gave. One of them was "As Thou Willest." The other was "I am Thine for eternity."
Hmm.
And the third was "Let Thy will be done and not mine."
Hmm.
At the same time, a conscious opening of the
Hmm.
heart
Heart
center.
center. Hmm.
And it was, I think the question is, how do you help yourself to open?
Open yourself, yes.
Would the English word be equally good? Taskor must be, thou art that. Would that be as good as the Sanskrit word, or is the vibration different?
Well, if you have the meaning, then it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
If the meaning is clear to you. Otherwise, if you have no meaning, then original Tattvamasi would be better.
Yes, because
But
that's
if
a
you-
vibration
yes.
word, isn't it?
Yes.
I went on studying there. I listened to the youngsters say something. I just want to say this. I was brought from spiritual Orthodox home, and all false idols is being a terrible sin against Jehovah or God that never could be imagined. So I thought my
Yes, but you see, Sri Krishna says in the Gita that approach to God, there are so many ways, million ways. So we must keep it open to all human beings according to their capacity and qualification. Anything opening to the divine is quite good for each one. You see, certain thing which is meant for a grown-up man is not good for a child. What is necessary for a child is not good for a adult, and so on. You keep an opening to the, because they are not worshipping stone. You see, when he says that coconut is put, he knows that this is coconut. But coconut is used only to concentrate the mantra and put the mantra power there. And this has been found to be working well. This I know myself also, that it has a capacity to become the receptacle of that inner consciousness. That's all. Afterwards, they will throw it in the sea.
well, I thought uh, and especially in times of great stress. That
Yeah.
I found this little thing that I love very much. It was behind very breastfeeding neglected, and it was given to me. And I took it home, and I put flowers before. And one time I remember getting some white flowers and just putting them there on my bedroom and walking away and not thinking anything about it. And the beautiful feeling of ecstasy came over me. This was your comfort to those white flowers, and how can I feel that? Just that focus of nearness and
Yes, so outer objects can be used for divine purpose. I mean, you see, one can use these things for approaching the divine. There are so many ways of approaching the divine. Just keep a tolerant attitude, tolerant.
But they have a crucifix on the altar in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
yes, and I suppose that could be
There are lots of this kind of person now, in the United States.
They have used the heart symbol also. Some of them have used the heart symbol.
yes, beautiful too. And I think the Madonna is very beautiful.
Yes,
I
yes,
love the Madonna.
yes.
I think that's a beautiful thing. I
Yes.
wish they'd get it in Protestant.
Well, I've only had it in the Catholic Church about 100 years, pay attention to. made divine about 150 years ago by the Catholics. So you can't expect the Protestants to do that. And part of the recent thing. Okay?
Well, I think it's very deep, I don't know, I think it's very popular.
Yes, it's the really speaking the divinity of the motherhood. That is what is
That's a
important.
fairly recent conception.
Hmm.
Because when the Episcopal Church broke away from what the Church of England broke away from the basic Catholic Church, the divinity of the Virgin Mary had not been at that time decreed, which was less than 150 years old.
Hmm.
This is one of the few differences between the churches now, fundamental differences.
Did not the Roman Catholics do it in the Italian times, Renaissance?
No, this was put, now this is from an Episcopal clergyman, so it may be unauthentic, but it's about between 150 and 200 years old.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Means her being raised to sainthood, you mean?
yes, the divinity of the Virgin Mary. Of course, they make saints all the time in the Catholic Church, every month or so. That's kind of new one. Yeah, kind of.
Motherhood, that's something. The divinity of motherhood. That is right. Has to take help of the divine motherhood.
Yeah.
And that's it. Sri Aurobindo has a symbolic explanation of the whole Christian basic idea of the Father, Son and Holy Ghost.